My husband of 15 years, James, handed me divorce papers yesterday, calling me a useless wife, before telling me he was moving in with his mistress. He was so confident I'd fall apart without him. I'm still in shock, but I need to get this off my chest. I should have seen it coming. Looking back, the signs were all there, but you never want to believe the person you've built your life with could change so drastically. It started with small things. About 8 months ago, James got really into fitness. He started going to a fancy gym every morning at 5 a.m., bought a whole new wardrobe from Lululemon, and was constantly checking his Apple Watch stats. I was happy for him. Health is important. Then came the late nights at work, the weird texts he'd quickly hide, and the new cologne. He started making comments about my appearance, suggesting I try viral skincare products or get Botox. Mind you, I take care of myself. I'm just not interested in dropping hundreds on designer creams. Yesterday, I was folding laundry when I found a receipt from Tiffany & Company in his pocket. We are not Tiffany & Company people. We shop at Target. When I checked our joint bank account, I nearly had a heart attack. There were multiple withdrawals to an account I didn't recognize, and our savings had been slowly draining for months. I waited until he got home, receipt in hand. Instead of excuses, he just laughed. Then he went to his home office, came back with an envelope, and tossed it on the coffee table. I was going to wait, he said, smirking, but since you're being nosy, here you go. My lawyer says it's a generous offer, considering you've contributed basically nothing to this marriage. I sat there staring at the divorce papers while he went on about his new girlfriend, Aurora, an influencer he met at the gym. Apparently, she has ambition, while I'm just the wife who supported him through his early career and put my own ambitions on hold because he said his job should come first. The worst part? He's been planning this for months. He already has a luxury apartment with her. He actually used our joint savings to buy his mistress a promise ring. Let's be realistic, he said. You can barely work the Netflix app. You'll be calling me within a week. I'm actually doing you a favor, teaching you to finally grow up. I didn't cry. I just sat there watching him pack his expensive new clothes. After he left, I opened my laptop and started digging. I found out he's been moving money since January and discovered credit card statements for restaurants and hotels I never knew about. I called my sister, Vivian, and she came right over. We stayed up all night going through papers. This morning, I called in sick to work and made an appointment with a divorce attorney. I also froze our joint credit cards. It's been 24 hours. My phone shows 23 missed calls from him. The first voicemail was angry. By the 10th, he was practically begging. I've spent the last week on my sister Vivian's couch. The first reality check hit when my card was declined for a $30 Amazon purchase. I called the bank, and that's when things started unraveling. James had been moving money, not huge amounts, but steady transfers of a few $100s every couple of weeks, always labeled with things like car maintenance or home repairs. Looking at it now, I feel so stupid. We've had separate accounts since we got married, his idea, but I trusted him with our joint savings. That's where most of my paychecks went. He's been taking Aurora to all these fancy places while complaining when I spent $50 at Target on things we actually needed. Going through our papers, I found receipts from coffee shops near her apartment and movie tickets from dates I wasn't on. He wasn't even trying to hide it well. Vivian's been helping me sort through everything. She works at a bank and knows what to look for. Classic financial abuse, she called it. I just feel dumb. The most bizarre thing happened yesterday at Walmart. I ran into James's cousin, who, instead of being awkward, helped me pick out a printer. He told me James had done similar things to his high school girlfriend. Nice to know. James keeps calling, but not as much. The messages have switched from angry to weirdly concerned. Just worried about you handling the bills, he texted yesterday. Aurora even sent me a message on Facebook. We should talk sometime. I left her on read. What's there to talk about? I met with a divorce attorney I found through a women's support group. She seemed concerned about the financial stuff and said we need to act fast. The biggest shock came when I logged into our old shared email and found confirmations for a credit card I didn't know existed. He'd been using it for months, mostly at restaurants and gas stations near her place. I had to laugh when I saw charges from a cheap gym on there. He'd been telling me he was going to that expensive one, probably to impress her. Today, I opened my own bank account. The lady at the bank was super helpful. It's not rocket science, despite what James always said. Oh, and I finally figured out why he always insisted on handling the Netflix account. He had a separate profile set up that he'd watch with her. Real classy, James. Remember how James was so sure I'd fall apart? Well, karma had other plans. I landed a basic customer service job at a local company. Here's the thing. The office is in the same building as one of James's biggest clients. I didn't plan it. I just saw the job on Indeed. First day, guess who I run into in the elevator? James, in his important meeting suit, with Aurora trailing behind him. His face when he saw me in my work clothes, carrying my new laptop bag, was priceless. Aurora just stood there, probably wondering why her successful boyfriend suddenly looked like he'd seen a ghost. But here's where it gets good. Remember how James always handled our finances because I was too scattered? Turns out, my new manager actually likes how detail-oriented I am. He asked me to help organize some spreadsheets, so I taught myself Excel through YouTube tutorials and applied those same skills to organizing all the evidence of James's financial shenanigans. I just handed my neatly organized folders of bank statements and screenshots to my divorce attorney. She actually smiled. "This is perfect," she said. James found out during our first mediation meeting. He showed up all confident, probably expecting me to be a mess. Instead, he walked into a room where I had printed copies of every shady transaction he'd made. His face when the mediator started going through the evidence was better than any revenge I could have planned. But wait, it gets better. Remember that Peloton he bought me? I finally logged into the account and found workout history showing him and Aurora using it together at our house on days I was visiting my sister. I mentioned this casually during mediation, just sliding the printed activity log across the table. The real karma hit when Aurora finally realized James isn't as wealthy as he pretended. Apparently, she found out he's still paying off that Tiffany promise ring, which, by the way, wasn't even from the real Tiffany's. How do I know? Aurora messaged me on Instagram. But instead of drama, she sent screenshots. Lots of them. Messages where James promised to buy her a car, conversations about moving into a luxury apartment he definitely couldn't afford. "I thought you should see who he really is," she wrote. "I'm done." I didn't respond, just forwarded everything to my attorney. The cherry on top? James's mom called me. Turns out he got fired. Not because of me. He'd been inflating his expense reports for months, charging all those fancy dates with Aurora to his company card. Part of me wanted to blast him on social media, but I didn't have to. He's doing a perfect job of destroying his own reputation all by himself. Remember how I mentioned James got fired? That was just the beginning. I overheard some people at Starbucks talking about a guy who got caught charging personal expenses to his company. Turns out, James had been running this scheme at his last 3 jobs. How do I know? Aurora started talking. To everyone. After James got fired, he couldn't keep up the promises. No more fancy dinners, no more shopping sprees. The final straw? He couldn't make the payments on that fake Tiffany ring. Aurora didn't just get mad, she got methodical. He used to brag to her about how he gamed the system, so she'd saved photos of his faked expense reports. Last week, she made a TikTok. She didn't use names, but she included glimpses of those receipts. The video went viral in our local circle. Meanwhile, I had my own little victory. I found out he'd been using our joint Amazon account to buy gifts for Aurora. So, I returned everything that was still within the return window. The money went back to my card. He didn't even notice until Amazon sent him those rate your purchase emails. But here's where it gets really good. I ran into James's sister, Katie, at Target. She hugged me and spilled some tea. James had been borrowing money from their parents for investment opportunities, but he was just using it to fund his fake lifestyle. His parents found out when Aurora's TikTok made its way to his mom's Facebook feed. There was apparently a huge scene at Olive Garden. James's reaction to all this was a total meltdown. He made new Instagram accounts to harass Aurora, kept calling his old job, even showed up at his parents' house at midnight. But the karma train wasn't done. I finally logged into our shared cloud storage and found a folder full of screenshots of his early conversations with Aurora, including their plans for after he left me. I just forwarded it all to my attorney. She laughed and said, "This is making my job very easy." The absolute peak of all this? Aurora made a follow-up TikTok showing the fake Tiffany ring, complete with screenshots of the sketchy website he bought it from. The video has 50K views. James's dream car, the Tesla he leased to impress her, got repossessed this morning from the parking lot of the Motel 6 where he's been staying. I watched it happen from the Dunkin' drive-thru across the street. Sometimes, the universe just hands you these moments. It's been 6 months since James left, calling me his useless wife. The divorce is finally official. No dramatic courtroom showdown, just paperwork. James looked rough, wearing the same dress shirt he used to brag about, but now it's wrinkled. His company didn't press charges, they just withheld his last paycheck and blacklisted him. Aurora left him last month. Apparently, life gets less exciting when your boyfriend can't afford Cheesecake Factory. James is now renting a room in a shared house across town. His Tesla is gone, and he's driving a beat-up Honda, the same kind of car he used to mock me for wanting. I'm still at my customer service job but got a small raise. I learned how to do my own taxes. Turns out it's not the mystery James made it out to be. I had an awkward run-in with his mom at Target. She told me James tried to borrow money from them, but they refused. He needs to grow up, she said. My little apartment is finally feeling like home. I've got some plants, 2 out of 3 are still alive, and I've started learning to cook. James still tries to contact me through new Instagram accounts, usually when he's been drinking. I just block and delete. I met a guy named Matthew at work. Nothing serious, we just have lunch sometimes. But here's the real kicker. Last week, I overheard some guys from James's old office talking. He's been calling and emailing, trying to get his job back. They didn't even bother calling security, they just let him stand in the lobby until he got tired and left. His new life isn't what he planned. He works out at the same Planet Fitness as me now. We awkwardly avoided each other in the parking lot once. His important contacts don't return his calls. Meanwhile, I'm doing all the things he said I couldn't, paying my bills, managing my own budget. The most satisfying moment wasn't some big revenge scene. It was yesterday at the bank, depositing my paycheck. The teller was the same one who helped me open my account 6 months ago. She smiled and said, "You look happier." And you know what? I am.